ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
It's working. I see it. Ocean moon.
Let's try that. There we go. I have a voice now, and hopefully, with any luck, chat can hear me. Hi, guys. How are you? You hear a lictor? Good. Yeah, I had Discord plugged
Yes.
in, but
Yes.
OBS had decided that because I'd had the absolute temerity to plug my headset into a different port, clearly my headset no longer exists. So we fixed that. Remembering how to stream slowly, I promise, honest. I see we have many of the usual faces in chat. You guys haven't forgotten me over the last 2 weeks. I'm very grateful. And I have stolen Lictor because I cannot be trusted on my own. How you doing, Lictor?
I'm doing as well as can be expected.
It kind of feels like that at the minute. Lictor is a good egg. Lictor is the best egg and manages to keep this stream from entirely just, falling off the edge of the world. Very trustworthy, yes.
We have. I will remind you that we had one stream wholly composed of war crimes and drugs.
We did. That was a fun stream, though. Right? That was a very, very fun stream. Twitch is just
Yes.
mad because you haven't been around and it feels ignored. The first week I couldn't stream when we were moving from the cottage to our actual house. Considering I had to be bullied into streaming at the beginning of the year, I was like, really miss streaming. I really want to be hanging out with chat right now and I can't and I'm annoyed. So So I
It's
did
the
miss you
addiction
guys.
talking.
It is. It is the addiction talking. I can quit anytime I want, I swear. That's totally why we're back when I'm not technically ready for us to be back yet. But, I wanted to come and hang out with you guys because I missed you.
Yes, because people are amazing,
I have altered the
especially
source
Greenmost.
settings. Pray I do
Will.
not alter them further. OBS probably. Yeah, Vectron is completely correct with regards to that. That's very much how OBS works. Though technically it's my fault. I didn't settle down and do enough pre-gaming to make sure everything was fine after moving.
Are you suggesting you didn't praise the
I
Omnissiah loudly
didn't.
enough?
I didn't light any incense. I am a terrible terrible member of the
I hate
Mechanicus.
sandalwood.
There's somebody else whose live streams I quite enjoy who talks about nonsense on the internet who often lights incense just to have on while he's streaming, and one of his favorites is called Go Away Evil, and I need to find out where he gets it from because I think I need me some sticks of Go Away Evil incense. I think that will solve a lot of problems.
I Chat, I think we know what we're getting Lady Red for birthday.
You missed my birthday. It was last month.
I will give you a hint. Solar rotations keep incrementing at roughly 356 and 65 self spins of the planetoid Earth. You
Oh,
don't you don't you
yeah, and
don't
another
get
birthday will come. You are right. Will says that if I like Go Away Evil, everyone would have to leave. Okay, we'll have to choose one of the other ridiculously named ones then.
that's not true. I'm not evil. Trust me.
That sounds like something an evil person would say.
You don't know that. Are you an evil person? Do you know how
Oh,
evil
I'm
people
definitely
talk?
evil. I'm British. You know what else we
I
need? Let's have
don't
some
ha-
background music. Let's have some
I don't have a good counter to that.
There we go. I've turned on some background music. You guys will let me know if it's too loud, and we'll just have a little bit of noise in the background because this is kind of what this week is mostly going to be is just wittering and hanging out with you guys. Because I haven't finished doing all the things I would have liked to have done, and part of that is because I'm currently broadcasting to you fine folk today from the comforts of my carpet sat on the floor with basically no furniture. But we're here and we're doing the thing, so it's all okay.
Yes.
There's a reason bad guys in American movies always have British accents. Yeah, in a lot of movies, the British make excellent bad guys. I'm not doing another Twilight rant. I swear we did that like the last week before I had to go away, or the week before that. I think my opinions on Twilight are known quite well. The Brits made a lot of enemies. Yes, we did. I'm not even going to deny it.
I mean, not. I mean, they made a lot of enemies. I mean, they made a lot of nations, which later turned out to be enemies.
So we think flags are very important, Do you have a flag? We'll have to do that at some point. Once we get a little bit further through
We
Shoal
do.
and we have our nations and etc., we need to design some flags. That'll be a
I
fun
thought we were going to invite Eddie Izzard, but
Oh, we
sure.
can do that as well. And, cake or death.
Cake or death? Cake, please. Thank you. If you have any, I mean, no one expects the rush for cake. It is such a good show. I had to show it to all my friends. That and the one where when they vex poetic about the how the Romans explain elephants to their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I finished. Okay, let's chill. How are you doing? How is the new house?
It
How's
is
it going?
so nice to be home. It is so, so nice to be home. Before I get into that, though, I can see the highlighted message from Introspective90 saying, welcome back. Still need to discuss the matters of highest peak and furthest point for city descriptions. We do. I have not forgotten you. I am still going to put those to you before they go into the document. It's just all that lovely work I said I was hoping to do while we were waiting for things at our house hasn't happened. Not for a lack of interest, not because I don't think Shoal is important and the input of you guys is important, but to say that this move has not gone as smoothly as we would have hoped is an understatement. But on the other side of the coin, it hasn't gone nearly as badly as it could have done. So I am talking to you guys from my living room floor at the moment, which the dogs have decided is clearly supposed to be an empty room and is designed for them to wrestle in. That is what this room is for. It is the puppy wrestle zone. So they're having a great time. They think everything's brilliant. I have a inflatable mattress in the living room, sleeping in here because it gives the dog something to nap on during the day. So it's ridiculous. On the other side of the coin, though, we are home. We are in our own house, and it is wonderful. The neighborhood has barely changed. Everything feels the same. There's so many things I just want to get to doing once we get all of our stuff back. I've got my yard to do because it's a bit overgrown, but that's fine. I will enjoy beating back the bushes and getting everything how I want it to be. A lot of people that we used to know are still here. The town has barely changed, which is lovely because one of the things that Iden and I love about the area we live is it's proper old small town America. You've got like the one main street that goes through with thrift stores, antique stores. We've got like 3 fast food joints, big chain fast food joints in the entire town. That's it. There's no Chick-fil-A here. This is how rural we are. But we've got like these little local takeout places. So there's a local Thai family that runs the Thai takeout place. There's a local Chinese family that runs the Chinese place. And there's only like the one of each in town because it's so small. If you go down to, say, Ace Hardware to get stuff to work on your house, everybody knows everybody. Like, oh, how's your project going? What colour paint are you in for this time? Or what room are you putting that in? It's really small town, and that's one of the things that we love. And the scenery is still stunning. The one place we haven't been to yet since getting back is up to the overlook that looks over the bay. There's a huge set of rocks up there. It's where on a Friday night all the teenagers go to make out, so you don't want to be up there on a Friday night, but on a Sunday morning to just go and watch all the boats coming and going in the marina. It's a stunning place to just sit, and we haven't been up there yet, but we did go to Deception Pass Park. Yes, we are living in a Hallmark movie setting. I love it here. It's just beautiful. We went to Deception Pass Park this Sunday just gone, because that's one of the things that we wanted to do when we come home, is to go there every Sunday and walk the dogs. And for Pip and Anka, it was their very first time on a beach. For those of you who were here yesterday for Iden's stream, he did show a brief pup date that unfortunately I don't currently have available, but I will get some more footage this weekend when we go to show you guys next week. And they discovered waves. We also discovered that despite the fact that both Ceres and Pip don't like staircases or ramps or being just, slightly up above the ground, my God, will they climb rocks. So they had a whale of a time there. And of course, the beaches where we are, it's all black sand because we live in a volcanic area. It's all basalt that gets ground down. So the sand is sort of grey black. And it was just lovely being back home and having that lovely salt smell and everything. So in terms of how does it feel to be home, it feels great. I just still don't have my furniture. We know it's left Florida. We know it's been picked up and it's left Florida. It's just got to make its way here.
I am confused, but this is fine. Being confused is part of my job.
Which bit are you confused about?
You're shipping it from where?
So we were based in Florida, which is where all of our stuff was. And for anybody who's not dealt with the military, that the military is a two-headed beast that quite often likes to bite itself and will definitely bite its service members when it's convenient. So when it comes to logistics, the military is really good at making sure that their people need to be where they need to be at the exact right moment, mostly because, the consequences hanging over your head if you don't turn up are pretty significant. This led to when we originally left Washington State to go down to Florida, The military does have more than two heads. I'm just talking about logistical nightmares at the minute that we're experiencing. So when we moved from Washington State down to Florida, because Uncle Sam said thou shalt go, you're supposed to have a minimum of 13 days to do that. But because they needed Iden at a certain qualifying course that doesn't come up that often, despite the fact that they were obligated to give us at least 13 days to make the trip, we had to do it in 8. And it was a thou shalt. No option. You need to be there 8 days from when you leave because there is a course that Iden must be at. So we did it in 8 days. Now, fast forward to 5 years later, Iden is retiring from military duty and we're going home and we're like, we need our stuff back at our house from, basically July 1st. And they're like, oh, well, we can't get it there by then. It's the middle of summer and everybody's moving and all of our things are backed up. So you're just going to have to wait. And there is no, excuse you, you're holding my stuff hostage? Nope. It's no, we'll get it to you when we get it to you. We'll pick it up no later than July 24th. So our stuff, which was taken from our house in Florida and stored in Florida to make sure that we were definitely going to go to the house we told them we were going to go to, which I don't begrudge them that part because I can only imagine the amount of people who are like, this is where I'm intending to move to. And then if the military moves your stuff up there and you go, well, actually, no, I couldn't afford to do that. And now I'm over here. That's going to cause them more problems. So I understand that part. But we let them know in June that we wanted our stuff as soon as possible in July. And they're like, yeah, the latest we'll deliver it to you is August 18th. So we know our stuff has been picked up. We know it's on its way from Florida, the literal other end of the country, on its way up here. We don't have a delivery date as yet, but it would just be, how quickly they can drive it up here. So I'm hoping that maybe next week I'll be talking to you guys from a desk. If not, I will talk to you guys from the floor again, and that will be fine. Crab. That is all. That's very important, and I do appreciate the use of the little emojis. Fuck you, sincerely, the US military. Yeah. Summer is always the worst time if you're doing a military move. It's when they're moving everybody around. Everything is overbooked. And you just, at a certain point, you embrace sort of Zen and the art of dealing with military shenanigans. So it'll be fine. It's also why we don't have Iden today. He has a drill day because he has stayed with the reserves.
I concur. 2 tectonic plates away and 3 different militaries away. I still concur. Like,
The logistics shall flow only one way, and that is in favour of the military.
well, you know what? I'll give you that. At least it flows somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, so, that's where we are. But we're home, we're happy, we're in the right neighbourhood. None of our neighbours have had any issue with the fact that we've turned up with the 3 noisiest dogs in the world. They are so excited. Everything must be sniffed 50 times over.
That is fine.
Yeah.
That too shall pass.
Yeah.
It will be good. It'll be fine. And we shall relax. And we shall find out that we have in a little puddle in the back a bunch of laticles playing a very complicated version of straight poker. Because they're laticles.
Oh my god, what must spin the bottle and strip poker look like on Shoal? That'd be ridiculous. Especially if you've got, people playing strip poker and it's different races.
Yes.
We did have one negative thing coming back. Yes, our neighbours are happy to have us back with +3 critters, but we're going to have to wait and see what our neighbours, because we only technically have one set of neighbours. The other side is the pickleball court, and they're not going to complain because they're also out there making noise, and we're fine with them. They're fine with us, but. When we arrived back, we had, when we lived here before, a very nice man named Steve who lived next to us. He was an older gentleman and he was ever so kind. And whenever he brought in his pepper crop, any excess peppers that he had, he would give to us and they were always just delicious. Unfortunately, he passed away last week, kind of unexpectedly, and the coroner was called out, etc. And it means we will be getting new neighbours at some point. But we know the landlord next door, who's very nice. So we'll have to see what they think of our dogs. But it was nice to at least. I didn't get to see Steve since we got back, but Aiden did, and he did get to see the pups. And then he did unfortunately pass away. But he passed away in what I think is, one of the things that a lot of people aspire to. He passed away in his sleep of natural causes, in his own home, not under extreme medical care or invasive shenanigans. So we are sad to have lost Steve, but as I say, he was an older gentleman, and unfortunately, it's one of those facts of life. Is that eventually the Reaper does come for us all, and I aspire to go out so calmly.
See, I have become a landlord since the last time we spoke. This is terrifying.
Well, welcome to the world of landlording. That's I've only just stopped being one after 5 years. So enjoy.
I I already envy you. Anyway, so aside from street poker, which I don't want to get into because I sincerely, fashion is not my business, and prawn business is you should wait at least 1 week
Yes, the
until we
prawn.
have a
I'm not
desk
ready
to
to get into the prawn business as yet.
we need a desk to hide under first.
Yes, yeah, you need to finish digging the bunker. I mean, we can absolutely talk about it in terms of world creation at the top level as and when we want to do so, and I'll do a stream where we put up the appropriate content warning before stream starts, and Twitch should be fine with it as long as we don't get, ridiculous. Not going to be today, though. Zork, your random thoughts of the day are always useful, and it has been very nice seeing the channel on the Discord continuing to flow while I have been using worse than dial-up internet for a couple of weeks. And frankly, I shouldn't even be here today. We weren't expecting to be able to stream last night and today, which is, again, partly why I'm so unprepared and we're just having a chill, kind of chatty one today. We're not supposed to have been getting the internet for at least another 3 or 4 days, but 2 days ago, we're chilling out at home and trying to cope, and Aiden had been very kind and said, you may have the internet for a few hours, because our internet was so bad on mobile hotspot that only one of us could use it at a time at the speed of dial-up. And so I was being blessed with the internet for a couple of hours to try and get at least some of my workload seen to. And there's a knock at the door. And it's the internet people, because we're not going with any of the big companies. We're not going with Comcast. We're not doing any of that Xfinity nonsense. No AT&T, none of that, because the town that we live in took a look at hey, we live in rural middle of nowhere. There's only one company that really does internet around here, and we're kind of not about that monopoly. So you know what? Municipal fiber. So, anyone read my Shoal 20,000 Leagues parody? I have not. Wilf, could you please send that to me and I will absolutely read it. So anyway, municipal fiber. The day that we left here 5 years ago to head down to Florida because Uncle Sam told us to, literally as we drove off the estate was when the municipal fiber people were driving onto the estate to start laying it. So of course we couldn't get them to pipe it to our house at that time because we were leaving. So the moment we knew we wanted to come back, we were like, we are getting on the municipal fiber. Absolutely. So we called them up and they said that the 28th was going to be the earliest they could get it out to us. But yeah, they turned up a week early because they're like, well, we're in the area and our last job went pretty quick. Would it be all right if we did yours today? Because it just, streamlines things for us. And we were like, yes! So, they briefly dug up the yard and ran the fibre out from the mains to our house. We currently have a 1 gig line, Eric, so we've got a nice line. It's piped straight into the room that's going to be Aiden's office, and then I have a hookup in the living room where my stuff would be, or will be, once we get our stuff back. So Aiden's going to have the strongest connection point, but it should be fine for both of us. It's a very, very nice connection speed that we have up here now, and I have heard murmurings that some squicknology might be happening, and we might have a squick popping out to come and network solution our house for us, which will give us some more latitude to do things, especially as I have an entire closet that we could put a server rack into if we want to. So, you know, things are moving forwards. I'm here a week early. Yes, Squicknology. Honestly, Squicknology is the only reason we've had comfort during the course of this move since we got back to Washington State. Squick has been an absolute godsend. He is a good Squick. The local Eldritch buddy who pops out to make sure things aren't futzed. Yes, a squickening is a wonderful thing. We do approve of squickenings around here, and all I have to do is feed him in potato sorcery, and he's happy to do it, which is very nice.
Uh,
Server rack isn't an
oof.
if, it's a when. Yeah, it probably will be. As a terminally online person, I am very much on board with that. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at the minute. We're home. We're as comfortable as we can be till our stuff gets here. The dogs think this is the best adventure ever.
Well, far be it from us to from disappointing, right?
Exactly. And yeah. The
If
one
they,
thing
if
that I've
they say so.
the only thing I've really got to
Yeah.
get done before the winter rolls in a few months' time is replace the pilot light on our gas fireplace so we can have a nice cozy front room when the winter rolls in. So yeah, it's getting there. It is getting there. And I thought today we'd just sit and chat. I'd catch you guys up on what's been going on, talk about anything you guys want to. I will administer all of the pets that have been requested. Once the
Yes.
dogs are awake, because currently they are in a 3-dog cuddle puddle on my bed, just out for the count. Especially little Ceres, because she plays too hard. The amount of issues we've had with her over the last couple of months because she just cannot play at a reasonable rate. While we were at the cottage, she basically tore off one of her dew claws because she was just playing too hard chasing the ball, and that got her little toe infected, and we had to get that all sorted out. She then managed to get one of her other toenails marginally infected from playing too much with her daughter. And then this week, we had to pop her down to the vet and get some ointment for her eye because she was playing too hard in the yard and got a grass seed under her eyeball and under her eyelid and irritated her eye. And for all that the seed is out and it's clearing, she needed some ointment just to clear up the irritation. But she's fine. She's fine. She's just a tiny nightmare. Have Squick fix the fireplace
No.
too? What could go wrong? Oh no. I know what Squick is like if you give him access to fire.
Electronic fire. You can have burning electrons.
Ceres
You,
will
you,
get a
you-
hug a little bit later on. Their routine at the moment, at 4 o'clock in the morning, they get their breakfast because that's when I get up to use the restroom anyway. So I take them out to have a little whittle and then they get their breakfast. And then after that, they're allowed to come and cuddle in bed until we get up for the day. And Ceres's favourite place to cuddle is curled up against my chest. So she gets lots of cuddles.
Extra cuddles, extra pets, extra hugs will be administered, all in due
Yes.
time.
So,
What?
we've whittled away for half an hour already. Is there any particular writing topic you guys want to have a good old witter on? Not Twilight, we've done that one. If there is, I will be happy to do so, or we can start, just noodling about with some other things. I've got all sorts of topics I can witter about all by myself.
Hmm.
Oh, I have.
I'll gladly join on just about anything. I've been devouring Xianxia cultivation and light RPG stuff lately, devouring book after book,
Oh,
audiobooks.
excellent. Excellent.
And I have two recommendations for the honorable crowd if they so choose to indulge, uh, if this is appropriate.
Yeah, go for it. What titles?
Uh, well, three titles, each with their own caveat, set of caveats and preclusions. But firstly, there's Cradle by Will White,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's 8 books, I think, and one extra for extra fluff. And it presents the first time I've came across a story that does power progression from level 1 to level 20 uh, in a good world building way. I won't say that the story is excellent. I won't say that the tropes are the sharpest or anything, but it's the first time I came across a book that just says, okay, this is the power system, this is the world building, this is how it works, and the world makes sense from book one to book eight, from level one, barely deal with a bunch of with a swarm of nasty wasps. Two, I am punching gods into infinity, and it makes sense from point A to point Z. And this is an achievement because most power progression high fantasy break down after the second, third of the characters.
Yeah, I think you
So,
have to have a very strong foundation of how you're going to get from one place to the other, and there's a couple of ways you can do it. You could have the reasonable, this makes sense, this pacing is good, okay, I understand how we started there and how we got here. And then at the other end of the scale, you've got Gurren Lagann.
correct. The Cradle series had Cradle series main point of strength is that the world makes sense from the very beginning. And as the world unfolds around the main character and around the story, um, it keeps making sense. Like the political situation, the society relate to each other, and why they relate to each other, how time spans happen is very smooth and seamless. It's like, okay, there are beings of that level of power existing. This is how they behave. This is why they behave that way. This is why the world is so weird to us outsiders as we step in, and the more we get into it, the why things are the way they are, which is uh, which is nice because it feels a lot like writer's fiat and the writer's hand.
Hmm.
Yeah, Bully Snake. Gurren Lagann is indeed power creep on
I,
math.
I
What I'm
would
trying
say
to say is
Gurren
that you
Lagann
can,
makes perfect sense. It's just that you don't
yes,
understand why it makes perfect sense until you get to the very end, and then the show goes, yeah, spiral energy. That's what's been going on this whole time. They just didn't know it. Also, humanity, fuck yeah.
also galaxies as frisbees.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's
This is what my
also
take on.
very easy to understand when you look at it from the meta side. Because Gurren Lagann was what a lot of the Evangelion guys made after being put through the effort of making Evangelion, and were like, we're not doing anything anywhere near like that. We're going to go and do something ludicrously feel good.
We need, yes, they alluded to feel good. Have you been through this fifth episode of Gurren Lagann? Because feel good
I mean,
definitely had
you have to have that
spear
moment for
shafted through
everything
it.
else to work. It doesn't work if you don't have, the brief big sad occur. You should finish it,
That
Night Owl. It's a great series. It does explain itself by the end, though mostly the explanation is humanity. Fuck yeah.
yeah, which is good. So first recommendation is Cradle by Will White.
Yes.
Secondly, there is Beware of Chicken. Beware of Chicken is everything that Cradle isn't. It's funny. It's witty. It takes a piss at every Xianxia trope that exists. The so-called hero of the book uh, that wants nothing more than being a farmer in the outback. He doesn't want anything to do with being a great cultivator. He wants to raise his farm and be some strange Canadian dude in the Xianxia universe outback. And and it's a slice of life, feel good, reading. Okay, it's like cooking with my awesome skill, the anime, the same vibe.
Yeah.
Also, it's one of the very few writers who do cultivation in Janjia. Janji. It says no. Yes, yes, I heard. Yes, Argon. I see. I see. No. The one of the most important parts of that book series actually does believable characters, even if they are not currently in a fight to the death with each other. They have actual relationships and actual people behind the tropes, and that makes them very interesting.
That's good.
And by the end of the fourth book, I'm still waiting on the fifth, there's a plot there which hides behind all the feel good and the slice of the fact that they have an entire farm of sentient animals corresponding to the 12 Chinese um, year animal cycle
Yeah, the Chinese zodiac.
and all the Chinese zodiac. They have the whole thing. They have a carp that is the dishwasher because he eats all the refuse. And the carp becomes a dragon and a boar and a pig and an ox and a rat and then of course the namesake, the chicken, who's who has a chapter named Name Drop because he makes a sign in front of his farm that says "Beware of chicken." And eh, it's a good feel good story. I and the last one is Rise of the Primal Hunter, which is a light RPG. It's not actually Jianxia story,
Hmm.
and it's very good because it's you see thrust into a computer like game like uh okay, introspective. I see where you're going. I very lifey. Maybe the slice of life stuff can get tiresome. I can see that, but I like the fact that it's real. There's so many characters in Big Love Chicken. You have over 20, if not 30 characters that you can just drop a chapter on just because. Like that one guy from that one point in that story, and you just get to it. There's so many characters. Every sort of interpersonal relationship. Heck, the, the plow of the ox gets a chapter. Okay?
And it can be very hard to write multiple compelling characters that people want to know about. So that's good. Yeah, it's okay for some people to love things, and other people go, "This isn't quite my cup of tea," and that's fine too.
Yeah, so, Rise of the Primal Hunter is a lot of feel good, not a lot of slice of life, and
Hmm.
mostly how people react in an interesting way to depict a lead RPG system and how people react to it. And it's pretty somber on a lot of angles, but it is very nice.
Awesome. Do
Uh,
you want to
uh,
pop the titles of those three into chat, and I can pin it so people can find them
yes,
if they're interested?
yes, I will.
Awesome. And
One,
Wilf, if you're
one
still
last.
listening, I got your DM. I will look forward to having a look at that when I am not streaming and have a quiet 5 minutes to myself. So I did get your DM.
Okay, so
I
that's
do
the
know one
plan.
thing we have today as well that we definitely need to look at. There was an update in the story of our Latical Titan pilot who never intended to be a Titan pilot, but now he is. I will have to scroll up and find that. And there's also a new piece of artwork from Tired German that I want to show you guys as well. So let me save that artwork. That can go in that folder. Oh god, I just saw the AI version of a sexy Laticle again.
What? Why?
It's because I have it saved in the folder that I save all of the show stuff that I want to show in.
I okay. Buffalo 7 Laticle is
Oh,
on the
is
job, I
Lictor quiet
guess.
for you guys? Do you need me to turn Lictor up?
If you could, I don't want to wake my sons. They want
I
me to
can
remain quiet.
absolutely see if I can turn you up a bit. There we go. Hopefully that will make Lictor a little bit louder. We will see. And you guys can let me know if I need to change it any further. Say something, Lictor. Talk to us.
I will talk to you. I will use me.
I don't know if
Deep,
that's any better,
soulful
but
voice.
I have turned Lictor up in OBS. So I'm trying, guys. I am trying.
Yes. There you go. A casual form is older athlete by good books. There we go.
Once I figure out how to make the commenters anonymous, I'll post a link to the Sholy religion doc I'm working on. I've got all the gods and aspects and the skeleton of the timeline. If you make it as a Google Doc and make a shareable link, for most people, when they click on it to go there, it will just assign them something like anonymous badger or, anonymous stoat or whatever, and doesn't always carry over their personal information. But it might do, and I look forward to seeing how you solve that. And if I can be of help, let me know. I'm going to pin Lictor's comment for his recommendations. We'll leave that up for 20 minutes. That works for me. Sean Coddery is best 007. I think some people have some other ideas about that. I remember seeing some other options. Yes, Anonymous Crab. We are all Anonymous Crab. Bully Snake thinks you're quiet because you have a nice bass voice, Lictor. I mean, the nice was my addition.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Please, no kicks in the nuts to make my voice go any higher. Thank you.
Roger Moray is the only pond. And we're back to 007 again. Oh, God, I should never have let you guys just start with that, should I?
I take full responsibility. You'll have to deal with it.
All right. Do we want to go through the next green text that Mr. Blackfire wrote for us about our Laticle pilot?
I want.
Okay, so last time when we checked in with our little Laticle friend, his storyline so far has been that he was working for the equivalent of Walmart on Shoal, got sent out as part of loss prevention to try and recover something from a thief, bumbled into a cave, discovered an abandoned Titan, accidentally woke it up and became a Titan pilot, quit his job, started Titan training, and was debating about where he wanted to put his skills because, there's multiple opportunities for Titans and Titan pilots, especially when it's one that's been returned to service unexpectedly. And part of its personality matrix remembers being a pirate. So that was where we were at, and this is where we're going to pick up from. So Mr. Blackfire sent us. He sat and stared and thought. It wasn't working. He floated to a different part of the room and tried again for a while. It still didn't want to work. He migrated to a different part of the building and brooded for a bit. Still nothing. Overthinking hadn't helped, overactivity didn't help, and neither had trying to ignore it. 2 dates were marked on his calendar. One, closer, was in teal. The other, further away, was in scarlet. The closer date in teal gave him more anxiety by far. It couldn't be rushed or put off and was arriving at its own maddening stately pace. The day in teal was the day where he decided where to go. The day in scarlet was the when. Any choice led him away from the comforts of his so recently disrupted home to one of the further reaches for his apprenticeship with the Tide Wardens. He looked back at the full list of choices all over the world. Umdari Span was a guarantee just for licensing, registrations and paperwork, but outright settling down there for any length of time wasn't exactly appealing. Merinport was a strong choice where one would never want for new happenings and certainly brought temptation of a place always so busy. But, as they say, Merinport will extend a bridge but won't build you a foundation, so maybe not a great pick for him long term either. More than 24 choices were on the list otherwise. His head began to fuzz, trying to take it all in again, and he considered just throwing some chance cubes all over the whole, throwing some chance cubes over the whole ordeal and calling it a day. He could just do it anyway. No reason he had to follow the result. He dug some chance cubes out of his bag and tossed them casually at the desk. The dice said to roll twice more and add the result. He skimmed down the list and came across an option he hadn't really considered very strongly. Tide pool. It was smallish, nearly tropical, close to some trade lanes, and still far enough away from some of the places that bring big city problems with them. He was pretty sure they'd filmed that one small part of a 007 movie there, great cycles ago. Glancing at the map and the tide charts on the wall and doing some quick calculations told him he could be there before one of his favourite festivals started this cycle. If he got there early enough, he could even complete in Angler's Reverie this time, and maybe in one of the deep water divisions if he felt so bold. Having a Titan does tend to make one feel rather bold on occasion. Especially bold since he missed a very important little note on the bottom of that map. Here be dragons. He would continue to miss that little note until after the day carrying the teal mark had passed and the decision had been made. Now, the scarlet mark carried quite a lot of its own anxieties. And that's where we've gotten to with what's happening to our latical pilot.
Latical pilot.
Yeah,
How
I
old?
think he was a latical. I'm fairly certain.
No. How old? We,
I don't know how old he is. We'd have to ask Blackfire that.
where's Blackfire?
I
Some of them.
don't see him in chat at the moment. I did see him at the very beginning of stream, but he hit lurk. So I'm suspecting that unfortunately he's a bit busy. So we might have to, we might just have to
Yes.
ask him over in the.
We
over in
have
the
a
chat.
tired German.
We do have tired German. How are things going on, Shoal? They are going fine. We've just caught up on the latest shenanigans with our latical Titan pilot and where he's deciding to go and pursue his career. We're mostly just having a chilled one today. I'm going to show the artwork that you did very shortly, so that will be happening too. In fact, seeing as you're here, why don't we do that right now? Let me pop over to OBS and convince it to behave. I would like you to add an image. We are going to go looking for it. It should be in. Okay, go through all the art folders. Where's Shoal? There's Shoal.
Laticals are essentially
Here we go.
are essentially. Did we establish how the faces of the latical are arranged?
We know that they have the sort of equine looking faces. Beyond that, I don't think so. But we do have a.
Equine hasn't they have snouts?
Yes, there is a latical in this picture on the bottom.
There, I want a latical.
So this piece is
yes.
called Beware the Breaches, and as you may remember 2 weeks ago, before I disappeared into the abyss and didn't return, we were talking about chat's wonderful idea that we clearly needed to have drop pirates that descend from on high. So I believe that's what we are looking at here, is a drop pirate engaging with a latical who's not very happy about it.
Dear heavens. Do latical have 6 limbs?
They do.
Interesting.
They do. They have 4 arms and then 2 limbs that can either be tucked alongside their tail when they're swimming or help them to ambulate on land. They're more eelish or snake-like. Yeah, so we know that we've got a sort of variety of them. They've got a sort of naga body plan, but with, as we say, the 6 limbs. And, of course, there can be variants across them. We've got an entire planet. We've got some that prefer to be on land, some that only ever go in the freshwater lakes on land, some that only ever stay in the ocean. We can have some variants in their body plans for that, but they're kind of along those lines. And I agree with Ed Gauss. Thai German is disgustingly good at drawing. This is very, very good. How do you spell latical? Let me put it up for you. It is latical. There we go.
I think
I'm now
I
going to
have
go and
grown,
check that I'm correct.
I have grown fond of the Eilish folk.
I am wrong. It is latical with 2 L's. There we go.
Yes. Let it go. Manical and not settle.
Correct. And crab kicking ass. Yeah. We have a crab doing crab things. So
Just dropping from crab on high.
yep, and I did see that, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to stream. I hope I remember to show that. And then the internet people turned up and like, yes, we can do the thing. So yeah, we have Tired German as ever to thank for this, who has done wonderful art, as has Lichter. For anybody who wasn't here last time, Lichter did a wonderful piece in the same vein while we were discussing the Drop Pirates. So I'm going to get that one pulled up as well. And with any luck, it's going to take me straight into the correct folder. Yes, it is. There we go. Yes, give me this. And this was Lichter's concept work as we were discussing. And the fact that clearly we needed to have combat shovels. Very important.
Look, you need to get under the scales and you need the shovel.
Eric, get out! Out! Leave! That's a terrible joke. How do the Nagas communicate over long distances? They laticole them.
That is
Out!
terrible.
That was bad and you should feel bad. Crab pirates are best pirates. I mean, we do love us some crabs on this stream. We do absolutely
I
love us
mean,
some crabs
I
on this
mean,
stream.
I wouldn't go so far as best. I'm a bit, you're a bit pigeonholing them into a singular. I mean, we all know that crustaceanization is a thing. In
Carcinization?
essence,
Yeah.
yeah, so crab is pretty much an evolutionary end.
So the,
It can work.
there was
It
something
doesn't
I
have to
was
be
thinking
best.
about doing today, and I don't know whether it needs to be a crab person. It might be more interesting if we make it not a crab person, because we've got quite a good idea in our head of how a lot of the crab people work. But one of the things I thought we might do today, if you guys wanted to, seeing as I didn't have, normal prep time for stream, because I wasn't expecting to be here, I wondered if you guys might like to have a look at how I do character creation for when I'm writing full narratives, actual characters to be
My
in a
habits,
story.
yes.
And I thought what we
Chat.
might do is perhaps come up with a character profile for our first adventurer librarian banker.
Yes.
So if you guys are interested, we can do that. I can hear Lichter saying yes. It seems like Grimos is very on board. All right,
I'm
give me a
totally not
moment.
drawing Galactical right now.
Excellent. Let me turn off that so we can see our screen again because we will need it. Because if we are going to do that, I will want, let's just narrow that down just a wee bit. And I will bring this down. I should have on this. Yes, I do have my templates on here. So the templates that I use for when I'm doing, okay, let me wind backwards a bit. So the reason why Shoal operates the way it does and why we've done things the way that we do on this stream is, for me, the way I like to approach novel writing, stories, characters, etc. I really like to start from the bare bones and build my setting from the ground up, because then I know that I'm closing potential loopholes by thinking a lot of the problems through beforehand. And it also allows for me to discover a lot of potential interesting plot points or unique things in the world before I start writing a story. I don't then have to go back and try and edit those interesting little nuggets in. I already know what they are. And that was why we started at the very beginning with how many planets are in our solar system before we'd even decided whether venturing off of Shoal was ever even going to be a thing. We've built up from there, and that's allowed us to follow our way through to all the cool things that we have now, like Benny and Bubble 07. We've got some of our interesting places. We know how our migration patterns happened. We know which races are going to be better suited for certain things because of the areas that they started in. We've got all of these elements ongoing, and we've pulled out a ton of options for storytelling that we could go on to do in the future. We've got festivals. We've got a really interesting annual cycle of how our planet works and what it rotates around. And in my personal opinion, I don't think we would have come to a lot of those if we hadn't built things in the way that we have from square one. I approach characters the same way. When I'm thinking about a character I want for a story, so let's say, we've decided we want to write an adventure story and we want it to focus around an adventurer librarian, now that we know that those are a thing, that the concept of banking and record keeping and to a certain degree some elements of religion are all going to be just the same person handles those, just because of how Coral works on Shoal and all of that nonsense. We've now got this option to make this really interesting character with a really interesting job. Well, let's build this person from the ground up. And the place that I get my templates from, or at least sort of started to develop these from, is from another online creator who I absolutely want to shout out because I am shamelessly stealing from her. Her name is Abby Emmons. Abby Emmons runs a YouTube channel where she talks about writing, and I absolutely hate every single book she's written. Her books are romance novels. I do not enjoy romance novels. They're very feel-good, heartwarming, and I do not like them. I do not like her subject matter. But she really knows her craft. The reason I don't like her books is because I'm not her intended audience, not because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Whenever I'm watching her and she's got her setup and she's got her nice white study and everything's very nice and upbeat and pleasant, and I just hate all of it. It's so not me. She is the absolute antithesis of how I live my life and the things that I'm interested in. But she's really good at writing, and she really understands the mechanics of stories, the mechanics of characters, and thus, I am a trash goblin, yes. And thus her advice is excellent. So if you're not somebody who likes romance stories, but you want some good romance advice, I recommend Abby Emmons anyway. She has some great stuff, and she does offer as one of her things is these character profiles that she suggests for helping you to get to know your characters before you start writing about them. And one of the things that she has a really good grasp on, that I completely agree with her with, is that what makes a character interesting isn't necessarily who they are, what their interests are, what their hair color is, where they live, what cool things they own. It's the arc that they go through the course of a story that means something. It's the choices they make as they go from the person they are at the beginning to the person they are at the end through the events of the story. That's what makes them compelling. That's what makes us interested in a narrative. Now, that's not true necessarily of making relationships with people in real life. Don't decide that you like somebody because you're going to wait and see how they deal with what life throws at them. You come to like people for completely different reasons in real life. But a narrative is a constructive mechanism. It's something where everything that you put in a book, things mean things. They're there for a reason. They're there to flesh out the theme, the narrative, and the message that you're trying to impart to your audience. And how you present your characters is part of that. People aren't going to have the time to get to know them and see their body language like you would with a person in real life. So you need to give them things to grip onto and follow them through the progress of the story that makes their choices become the compelling part. Cookie says sometimes you do. You pick somebody because of how they handle stress. Yeah, it does sometimes happen, but you don't necessarily decide that you gel with a person in real life the same way that you do with a character in a book. So Abby Emmons' way of laying out how to build a character with the things that you can look at to start getting to know them as if you have known them in real life, to then present them, I find it is a very good way of going about it. So the character sheet that I'm pulling up and that we're going to work on today is very based on the work of Abby Emmons. I do recommend her. I think she's a very knowledgeable lady, even if I do not enjoy her work whatsoever. Will says, to quote Mark Twain, truth is often stranger than fiction because fiction has to make sense. Yes, that's very, very true. So that's where we're at. That's what we're looking at. The other thing that I tend to do when I'm going through character creation is I do not necessarily fill these items in order. Because some things, you'll know before you start, some things that you decide that you come to as you're filling in other bits. Like, for example, I don't want to start with what we're going to name this character. This isn't a character sheet I'm filling in because I'm already writing the story and I have a character that I now want to flesh out a bit more, so I already know who they are. I don't know who this person is yet, so they can have a name once I know a little bit more about who they are, and we can then choose a name that fits that better. Because we're trying to impart a character to an audience. So we can pick a nickname and a name later. That wouldn't be where I start. For this character, I think we need to start with a physical description. So I'm thinking it would be fun to make an adventurer librarian whose whole job is to go out and try and find lost coral archives, artifacts out in the world, and bring them back to whichever home library they belong to. What race do we want them to be? Zork is saying squid person, so a cephalonid. What do the rest of chat
I
think?
I am I have a terrible idea for a solution.
You want it to be a Slashian, a whale person?
Because it is such a good opening of I moved my hands by command. I I move my hands by commanding others. I don't have everything I have to do. I have to do through others. So it's so weird to
They
have to
are.
pack my hands for to pack my hands, my tools, my companion travel. It's like it's just the weirdness of it.
They are very, very weird, and I think we are going to have a lot of fun writing about them as and when we do put Slashians into stories. Okay, so we've got a call for two calls for Salashian, or possibly a Latical, one for Squid Person. Shall I make it a poll? Should we do this as a poll?
It's like,
I can do
I
that.
feel like isolation. You know what isolation? But you know what? In terms of weirdness, I think that keeping isolation as a non-massive character would be good for them because otherwise they will swallow all the time just by describing the sorts of hands creatures that they have, and it'll be like the little yellow things in Despicable. Like they will eat up all the all the screen time, and it probably is better to show them as side characters.
Okay, I'm not going to allow additional votes. We're going to make this a 1 minute poll. I've put all of our races in. No, we are not allowing additional votes. Turn that off. Thank you. Start poll. There we go. There we go. You guys can decide on the poll which you want. I get to vote too, which is nice. We'll see what people think 1 minute in, and we'll go with that because we don't necessarily even have to do something with this character after we've made them. We're just going to work on making a character, and if they do turn up, then great. If they don't, then that's fine too. So what do you guys want to do today? And while that's happening, I'm gonna have a sip of my drink because I've been wittering for over an hour now. Oh. Yeah, we do know we have some whale people librarians. When we were discussing the cities and the races, we were, oh my God, you guys, it's a draw. All right, we'll do another one then. Okay.
No, Wilf. No. The answer is no. I know what you're thinking.
We are not
What
crossbreeding the whales and the
this
squids.
this there the no elves there are no elves in this setting. There are no half breeds. Thank you. This is the biology. I am married to a biologist. I want to keep getting back to bed. If she'll hear another universe where I can breed with everything from across, like she will have my head. Thank you. No.
I think we've had a strong endorsement from Lictor there for no.
No. My
If
wife
it's
has
a
been
tie
playing
again,
with
I get the tiebreaker because I haven't voted. So
yes, yes. You get the tiebreaker. You can already tiebreak.
whale squid are this is how you end up with movies like Sharktopus versus Mechazilla or whatever. Okay, we have decided. You guys came to a consensus. We are having a squid person. We're going to have a cephalonid.
Yes.
To call Jonas
The,
and the Holy Snail Bully Snake.
do cephalonids have chromatophores?
I imagine they do, yes. So we know that we have a
I then
cephalonid.
then we have to have that part where I woke up and all my chromatophores were itching from last night drinks.
Okay, so we're gonna have a cephalonid squid person, male or female. You get to choose this one, Lictor.
Uh, I need more good female characters in all books. Thank you.
Okay, so female cephalonid squid person. We need to have a physical description of them. We know what cephalonids look like, so I'm thinking that she should have a sort of lavender hue to her skin. Lavender hue
Over
skin.
from exposure to the temp squirrel.
Sure.
I mean, they have chromatophores. I can imagine that they just choose something that matches,
Yeah.
works with those surroundings.
Due to often being around temps, coral, green eyes, grey beak, favours practical and drab clothing during working hours, often enjoys colourful accessories on her off time. So with the physical description, you can start bringing in a little bit of personality to your character. At the minute, I'm just envisioning something in my head. This can always be changed later if necessary. But when I'm thinking about a librarian, an adventurer librarian, she's probably going to have cause to want to be very practical. She's going to go into lots of different environments, so I figure that will affect her day-to-day wear. What is her focus? I'm thinking of this character as being somebody who's more focused on their work than on their personal appearance. So I'm thinking drab clothing, but you know, that doesn't mean that she doesn't necessarily enjoy expressing herself when she doesn't feel she's beholden to the clock. Maybe there's occasions where she enjoys that splurging. So I want to bring that into the physical description, and that's something that I can pick up on later when I'm going through, if I'm writing a story about this character, and I'm like, okay, have I put her depth in? Does she feel like a real person? What do my notes say? Is that reflected in the narrative? What can I enhance? And it'll just be little lines like the often enjoys colourful accessories on her off time that allow me to bring in those tiny elements that make her feel more real and more alive. Age, I'm not going to go for a specific age in years here because of how years work, and we haven't necessarily pinned down average age ranges. What I'm going to look at here is, you know, is she a child? Is she young? Is she preteen? Is she a teenager? Is she an adult? Is she an experienced adult? Is she an elderly person? I'm going to look at age brackets, and I'm thinking that she should be somebody who is perhaps in her sort of young adulthood. Hasn't necessarily, because I feel like a lot of adventurer librarians, as they get older and time goes on, probably adventure less and become more mentor figures long term, but that you get a lot of your really exciting, explorative stories with characters when they're still young enough to be a bit more brash than they should be, but not completely reckless as if they've just come out of school and haven't experienced the world yet. So that's where I'm feeling with that. Let's see what you guys are saying in chat. Got so bladdered they woke up magenta. Yes. Does she have scars from dealing with the coral and learning how to deal with them properly before she did the right thing? That would be a really interesting thing to add, is to give her some scars. I think I do have a section in this character sheet that specifically talks about scars, but we can add those in here. What sort of scars do you think she should have, Cookie? We'll let you do that bit. Young adult with some experience. That's what I'm going to put in here.
I didn't know.
Oh no, oh no, has the husband turned up? Oh no, that see that would be Corbin. That is my problem child. That's worse than having
Yes,
Aiden turn up.
I see.
Cut her in half and count the rings to know the age. You are not Aiden, Corbin. You're not getting him blamed for your transgressions. I know it's your favourite thing.
Corbin, Corbin, I will get your coordinates.
So you were thinking of tentacle scrape scars from trying to reach into places that may not need to have been reached into. Yeah, yeah, she's going to have explored various things and probably stuck her tentacles where she shouldn't.
Makes
Old
sense.
enough to have studied, but sorry, old enough to have studied what they are after, but young enough to overestimate their abilities. About to earn another scar or two. Yeah, I feel like that's the right age if you want to write an adventure story. You don't want somebody who's incompetent or inexperienced with the world. Those tend to make for better accompanying characters. You want your main character to have enough experience under their belt to be competent, but not so much experience that they don't make mistakes and etc.
Um,
Yeah, no comment, Corbin.
red,
No comment. Yes,
red thought, thought bubble.
yes.
Temp squirrel, touching it, uh, unprotected, untrained, leaves lightning-shaped scars where they sear directly into the neuron, to the neural network,
Okay.
because they cause psychic feedback. And when you touch temp corals, untrained and unprotected, it's like touching psychic acid. This is how temps coral uh, prevent themselves from being devoured.
Okay, so I've updated to say that she has some tentacle scars from reaching where she shouldn't, and a lightning scar on one from touching a Temps coral unprotected. A mistake she hasn't made twice.
Smart.
Okay, so when I'm writing human characters, which is where I've pulled this from, the next thing that I tend to write down is the character's scent. And the reason why that's in here is when you're writing a book, one of the things that you want to try to do is to play with all of the senses, because that helps to bring your audience into the perception of the character that you're wanting them to empathize with or bond with or understand. And one of the easiest senses that gets overlooked is the sense of smell. There are times where people always remember to mention it. So, like if somebody walks into a kitchen and you want it to feel homely, you'll mention that it smells of fresh baked bread. That gets mentioned a lot, but there's a lot of areas where smell is very important to us in the human experience that people don't necessarily think to bring it up in narrative. The sharp smell of blood, for example, can make a fight scene a lot more evocative. If you're having a character that you're wanting to really enjoy or recall a memory or embed themselves in something from their past, mentioning that they've picked up a scent that reminds them of that time, or if they're in a moment that you know you're going to want to call back to later, making sure that you bring in what the character is smelling as well as seeing and touching and experiencing. You can then bring that back later really nicely by just mentioning the smell, because that's how humans work, and we don't always notice how strong our sense of smell is and how important it is to our other senses like taste and of course to our memory. So I always like to write down what scent a character has, because it can be important later. And again, it's one of those things that gets me thinking about the character as a person and also thinking about how they project themselves into the world. I'm not going to flick over to it, though I'm tempted because I know Corbyn's in chat and picking on my boys is one of my favourite hobbies. I have a writing setting to do with my close friends, the Desir family, because we all met through communal writing. And I have write-ups for all of our characters, and it includes the aftershaves or perfumes that our characters or at least that I feel our characters would be most likely to use. And with Corbin in chat, who is a very flamboyant character in the setting, very self-assured, very confident, he has a aftershave that reflects that. Plus, he also normally has the smell of whiskey, cigars, and other very masculine things around him because it fits the character type. Yeah, you heard your name. I'm talking about you. So that's one of the reasons I like to play with scent and making sure I write that down. I don't necessarily think that's going to be quite as important for Shoal, though. I don't know how
Why?
we would. I mean, they will sense, but it's going to be smell in a different way, and I don't know how to write that, how we'd want to lay that out. Because they're not going to be picking up smell the same way underwater that we do on land. How does that
They
change
will
things?
they will absolutely gather. I mean, scent underwater is incredibly important.
Yeah, but how do you
It,
know that it's coming from one specific individual in a crowded environment? You're going to be kind of getting a little bit of
you're
everything.
but you're moving through it, and
That's
by
true.
you're at because everything is moving. Just by understanding and correlating the current and the density of the smell particulate that you're inhaling while you're moving, you'll actually have it much better. You'll be able to detect scent as a shoalie a lot better than us humans.
Okay, so
It's
then
much
we
more
probably need to give her a scent, and I do like as well what Cookie's saying is that we probably need to also have a psionic profile, the sort of the feel of the character, because psionics are a thing on this setting.
yeah. I think that we can call it not so much as a thumbnail as much as a resonance, a psionic resonance, a psionic scent, a psionic note,
I like
chord.
calling it a resonance. That's very cool. I like that.
I, what I'm trying to allude to is a musical note or a chord. How do you say it in English? I only saw it on word in paper.
Oh,
When you
so
have a
yeah,
series of notes.
yeah, a chord. You were correct. A chord.
So if you have if people have chords, they have short, memorable sounds or
So Bully Snake
musical.
has made a suggestion, and combining that with your suggestion, what if we wrote her resonance as being a major chord of curiosity and eagerness, as a sort of positive, extroverted thing out into the world, and maybe for other characters who are perhaps more introverted or more sullen or whatever, they might be a minor chord. And of course, then we're using our musical terminology, which ties back to our main theme that we've fed all the way through Shoal. And I always like to tie back to our main theme because you're reinforcing what makes this particular setting special. So maybe
Exactly.
that's how we do it.
Yeah, I think music, scents, and colors are going to be a major chord. A major chord with an undertone, with a backwind. We need Storm Song for that. He has all the
Yes, yeah, and
music,
for some characters, yeah, where you want to be more complex, they're primarily a major chord of this, but also a minor chord of that could be a thing as well.
a staccato of eager, a staccato of
Yes,
eager
staccato,
curiosity and
yes,
staccato rising
yes,
and
or a
rising into
diminuendo of
uh,
sullenness.
exactly. And once you develop that sort of language, you can actually give your story a flavor that is unique because you have a language to give it into.
Yes. See, this is why I like doing everything from the ground up. You end up with so many things you might not have done otherwise. Okay, what scent do we want to give her? We've given her her resonance. What scent do we want to attach to her? I feel like she should have a sort of citrusy scent.
Sharp citron, clean, maybe.
Okay. So maybe she has a scent of clean citrus, and I'm going to use linen because, ultimately these need to be words that we can understand, but, we know that shoaly cloth is made from different plants, but that's fine. Clean citrus and linen. All right, so the next thing that I tend to do, and again, this is going from Abby Emmons' suggestions with characters, is I'll quite often go onto the Myers Briggs website and go through the list of questions to find their personality type that's on there to give me, their Enneagram thing, so you get your int j and all of those. I'll quite often do that for characters because that helps me get a sort of trope in my head of how they should respond to certain things, and then if I want to tweak them a little bit away from that, from certain, for certain events, that can obviously be done because no person ever fits completely into one box. I'm not going to worry about that for this character, but it is something I find really useful for writing characters that I don't already have a clear idea of their personality in my head. That can be particularly useful for when I'm bringing in a secondary character, and I do have a separate sheet for secondary characters, but it can be very useful for secondary characters are going to be important and might start coming back up more often, and some of whom may potentially over time become primary characters, especially if you suddenly discover, oh, this book I thought was going to be a single novel, suddenly a trilogy, and this character keeps turning up. It can be really helpful to figure out their personality, and that's what happened with my first setting that I started writing, Hevner. I thought I was writing one book, it turned out to be a trilogy, and my guard captain, Khan Mazali, suddenly needed a full profile because he just kept turning up. So I did the personality thing for him. And then the next one underneath is posture. This again is coming back to bringing that sense into the world: smell, touch, sound, sight. The way that you stand, the way that you communicate with body language in real life is very important, and it's that cult of first impression, and you see that a lot in narrative when you've got characters who are standoffish, who fold their arms a lot, etc. You immediately take on board this is supposed to be a brusque character who's got strong opinions and happy to stand in opposition to whatever's going on, or has contrary thoughts to what's being said at the time. That you can communicate all of that just in posture. So how a character stands, how they approach the world, can be a really important thing and a nice subtle thing to bring into your narrative. It's possible to weave cloth out of seaweed fibre. Yes, it is, and that was one of the things that we discussed. We have wiggleweed, which is the basis for many cloths on Shoal. What else?
Hey, Red.
What else have we got in chat? ADHD would be common in adventurers. Yes, yeah. ADHD has a very strong link, for example, to people with Viking heritage because that was beneficial, and beneficial to multiple other areas of older civilization before we discovered internet and other things.
Before we learn to capitalize on it, you mean?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to step away for just a moment because the dogs are asking to go out to pee, and let you guys have a think about how you think our crazy adventurer librarian squid person might show off their posture and attitude in the world. And I will be right back. So you're in charge, Lictor. Don't burn the place down.
Okay, Zork, what Warcrafts can be assembled for she's back? I'm currently planning out the Radical 007 suit. No, Wilf, no. Zorg does not. I'm sorry. Zorg is not an underwater god. Corbin, don't you give me that face. German, I sent you some rigged rations. Okay, so I'll get on that. Right. Did somebody say price? No, you're hearing things. Zork, you're hearing things. Shush. Back to the cave. Go cook another I don't. What would be a thermonuclear analog? A hydrochloric wave inducer. What if you can pump a no, no, no. I'll stop now. That's not it. So, posture. No, no. Posture for cephalinids. An eager cephalid, always in motion. I mean, they're mostly always in motion. They have those tentacles moving all around. The unique stature is tentacles. No, not bad. That is actually very useful. Perhaps they hold their main body in a slightly tighter posture, somewhat with the the um, frontal tentacles curled up, while the lateral back facing tentacle continually move fashion. They're always shifting in a manner that is cordial on facing, but there's always something back. In the background, we and Tired German are discussing latical uh, structure. I'm going to try and design a set for a laticle, which is going to be, I think, my idea of a face on a laticle is more gray than what
All right,
Tired
I'm
German
back.
had gone for so far. Hello. We
Hello.
had a few ideas.
Oh yeah.
We had a few. Yeah, specifically bold, brash. I'm done with everyone's bullshit. I mean, bold, brash, and not yet old enough to understand how much bullshit there is.
She's perhaps just starting to get her give no fucksometer filled, but it isn't fully filled yet.
I think that the librarian, I think that they would have the un- unmistakable scent of a librarian with someone late on due date. It's like, they know that you've done something that you've, and they're eyeing you for it. You know how librarians get when their books are misplaced.
So Corbin put a meek stature of considered apprehension betrayed by her inquisitive tentacles. What if we had with a calm stature? Because I don't feel like an adventurer librarian. Being meek probably isn't something that lasts too long. You're either cut out for the job or you're not. But I think being calm and a little bit apprehensive would make sense. But her inquisitive tentacles giving her away, considering we've given her the scars, I think that's quite a good description.
Yeah,
I also need to very quickly do a thing.
Cookie knows what I mean. Cookie has seen the librarian rage.
Yes, like there's no rage like librarian rage.
I
There we
haven't.
go. I have given Corbin an ad repellent hat, so that the next time I start picking on him, he doesn't, he doesn't get the relief of being saved by adverts. Okay, so let's go with over to here. Posture, a calm. Have to flick between things. A calm
I
stature.
have a hat. I didn't know we had hats.
Yes, they got changed when I did the assets for digs that he asked for. We got rid of the ad repellent underoos, and now we have ad repellent hats. I am sorry for taking away people's underwear, though.
I did like my pants, but that's fine.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so the next section that's in this build up is talking about things like distinctive skills and abilities. For human characters, when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about things like, are they trained in archery? Are they trained in accounting? Are they trained in history, mining, something like that? And if it's a setting that has some kind of magical system to it, which my Heavener setting does, are they a weaver or are they a non weaver? Do they have something else going on? So for my main character from that, I have a character who is very versed in statecraft. She is a very weak weaver, but the big thing that makes her special and makes her story happen is nobody else knows that she is. She's a weak enough weaver that people just don't pick up on it, which lets her get away with shenanigans and allows for the story to happen. So for her, I'd be putting in there that her distinctive skills and like is statecraft. She knows archery, and she is a weak non-weaver (brackets hidden). For our adventurer librarian, of course, we know that she's going to be psionically active. All of our races on Shoal are, so we don't need to put that in specifically. We know that she is going to be a trained librarian.
So she knows how to handle a tab score, which
Yep.
is
Because she's an adventurer librarian, she must also be a trained or at least semi-trained survivalist if she's
all
going
right.
out looking for these things. If we want to, we can give her an area of specific study that she's interested in. That would be something
Well,
we could give her here.
we're trying to reinforce the entire theme, so she must be an expert on the Titan prototypes.
Okay, so that's going to be her area of special interest is Titan prototypes.
She was the lady that will nerd out how did Titans became what they are. Because
Okay.
we do need someone not in world Professor Tex talking about how the Mackey happened.
Just seeing what chat has to say. I passed out at the table because of the thunderstorm and Lictor's voice lulled me into a nap. Next
Oh,
time I'm not here for a week, I'm just going to book Lictor to come and do an ASMR stream for you guys, and you can all just have, a couple of hours of nap time. Hello, Aquatic Marcus. Aquatic Marcus, even. I can speak, I swear. Yeah, we're doing some world building on our ocean world at the minute. We're looking at character creation and writing an adventurer character at the moment and what she should be like. Tactical tinfoil top hats protect from ads better than tinfoil pants. Less uncomfortable too. Yes, something like that. But for anybody who wasn't here when I was talking about doing the brand refresh that Diggs asked me to do in the assets I made, part of the reason that the tactical underoos went away is because the person who did those unfortunately wasn't available to make more icons. Because the way Twitch works, for anybody who doesn't stream and hasn't seen the back end, as you stream for longer and longer and you get to certain milestones, like a year or 2 years, it then unlocks the ability for you to give your viewers an icon that says that they've been subscribed to you for that long. So Diggs had from the previous person, I think he had the new subscriber, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, and then a year and a half, and we didn't have any beyond that. And that person, as I say, unfortunately wasn't available. So Diggs dropped it into my lap with the other things that he wanted to do, like a foolish bear trusting me to do things. And that was why I changed over to top hats, because I didn't want to just ride off the back of somebody else's very excellent work. And for future proofing, I made 10 years worth of icons. I am sure at some point, I'm sure that there will be another refresh that changes things within the next 10 years. However, if there isn't, we have 10 years worth of hats. And as I went further and further along, designing different hats for different years, by the time I got to like year 8, I'd lost the plot. So we have hats that might not ever get seen, and if they don't, I will release them so you guys can see them. But some of the later year hats, to distinguish them from earlier year hats, get really silly. I can neither confirm nor
And
deny if one of the hats has horns on it, and if one of them might in fact just be a traffic cone.
all I'm saying is I'm still proud. I'm still proud of the one icon I did for this channel.
You should be.
The the cow, the Van Zandt tactical cow.
Amazing. Good job. Uh,
because because we yes, goofy hats. We
yes.
will get the goofy hats. We all will.
Aquatic Marcus says, due to the existence of free time and YouTube video recommendations, I fell down the rabbit hole of world building and now arrived here for a bit. Well, we're very pleased to have you. You've landed in the middle of a very strange thing that's going on. So, WBPL 76 is a variety channel. We have a whole series of different streamers who do everything from video games to music. I do writing nonsense and world building. We have tournaments and all sorts of stuff goes on over here. Mini painting, lots of art streams. And on my stream, we started back in January, creating an entirely new setting that eventually we want to write a novel in. And we've been steadily building up all of our things in it. And today we're talking about making a character for our world. And you can see the map on the right side of the screen there. We are a ocean moon orbiting a gas giant in a galaxy far, far away, with a heck of a lot of radiation going on. We've got 5 different species, and we have a soft magic system. We have coral, spelt with an H in it, which allows for psionic resonance and allows for our setting to have underwater mecha in it. So we're currently inventing a adventurer librarian who goes out to find memory coral, and bring it back to archives with stories and mecha prototype information that's been lost to time. So that's what's going on over here. It's a little bit strange.
I have to point out that our resident British person is writing the goes finds buried treasures in dead cities and brings it home for everybody to watch to and gaze at.
I'm not
No,
apologizing.
I am as a historian, I am saying the strength and save history. Everybody else is very bad at it.
It's not being preserved where it is. It'll be lost forever. We have to bring it. Oh my god, Anka's chasing her tail. She just caught her own back foot and fell over.
Very good, Anka.
Oh my god, puppy. That was adorable. Yes, Corbin, we do in fact have Kangadiles. That was your fault. We also have the supercavitating underwater Valstrax clone, which was also your fault. You and Ninja Turtle.
Wasn't it Lazarus's idea?
Was Lazarus involved?
I think so.
I
I
know
mean,
Corbin was involved, and he's definitely to blame.
I am blaming Courtney. I want to blame Lazarus as well.
We do also have Droptopus. We don't have drop bears on shoal. We have drop octopi.
And we have drop pirates.
Saris,
We,
please stop shouting at your daughter. She is allowed to catch her own leg. This is permissible.
this is her own leg. She's allowed.
They've decided it's wrestling time, so that there may be some shouting.
Noise.
What program am I seeing? This is Scrivener, my writing program of choice. It is by Literature and Latte. It is specifically designed for writing narratives, whether it be screenplays, novels, etc., etc. I absolutely love it. You will never convince me to write in anything else. If you are interested, you can search Scrivener online and you will be able to get a 30-day free trial to see if you like it. And when it says 30 days, it means 30 days. 30 separate days of using it, not, between this date and this date. And it has a very reasonable whole of life license if you decide that you want to pick it up. We are not sponsored by them. I just really genuinely love this program. I will type it in chat so you can see how it is spelt. Scrivener. Alrighty, so we were making our character. Okay, so we said trained librarian, trained
You do realize
survivalist.
that what happens is you're making me stop drawing my laticle, moving me to draw a cephalid. This is very, very.
I
But
said,
okay,
somebody saw amateur spelunker, should be something she has on her list. She should also be a trained coral technician. She should know how to engage with coral without hurting herself, especially if she's had one bad lesson. And she will also know the basics of accounting because she is a librarian, a venture librarian banker, because librarians and bankers are the same thing on this
does that
world.
mean she also know the basics of the geographically relevant religions? Expert on
Yeah,
cults, maybe?
basics of accounting, regional
Regional occultism.
occultism. That's a really good way of putting it. Okay, so we've got some basic idea of what she can do, what sort of things she has under her belt. Now we move into the really important bit. So the next section we've got what is their greatest fear, what is their misbelief about the world, what happened to make them believe this lie, and those three things are what is going to drive your character's arc through the narrative, especially the misbelief about the world and why they believe that. When you look at characters, it's generally that causes them to initially engage with whatever the call to action is, with whatever it is that's happening in the story. They will engage with it from the position of their misbelief about the world. Through the act of the story, they come to understand that their perception needs to shift, that the world is not the way that they believe it to be. And when they come out the other side, their misbelief will have changed, and they quite often, with main characters, protagonists, will quite often have come to some kind of peace with whatever it was in their past that made them think that way. And you're then seeing them go forward into the future with this new understanding. So these sections, as simple as those little sentences are, those little questions to fill in, this is where the core of our character is going to come from, in my opinion, and also building off of the wonderful input of Abby Emmons. Cookie Mama likes Obsidian, yeah. Yeah, I apologise. I have a very strange, weird British accent, and Corbyn's is worse. He's Australian. All right, so
I don't know what accents are.
what do we want to do about what our character is afraid of? What sort of thing do we think that our adventurer librarian
Zord.
fears?
I think we should give fear to Zord
We should ask Zork.
for fear. Yes.
What do you think, Zork, if you're still with us? What should we make our character afraid of? Now, when I'm talking about fears, I'm not just, I'm not usually looking for just a basic phobia, like, oh, they're afraid of spiders. It's something that's actually meaningful. So, for example, for my main character in my trilogy over in my own setting, my main character that Anka is named after, her biggest fear is irrelevance. Her history is that she is the seventh in line to inherit the throne, which means she's probably never going to inherit it. She's effectively been brought up as a spare heir. She's there just in case all the ones ahead of her get killed, which isn't entirely unlikely, but she's the seventh in line. So she doesn't really matter to her family. She doesn't really matter to society, yet she's still bound by the protocols, etc., of being a royal heir. She doesn't really feel like she gets to live a life of her own, and she just doesn't feel like she fits in anywhere. She feels irrelevant. She's spare parts, and that's what she really fears the most, is that she doesn't matter, that nothing she does will ever matter and will ever be remembered. That is her fear, that drives her. And then, of course, her misconception about the world is that she thinks that that is correct, and that the only way that she can do anything to challenge that is by being, in many ways, too far in the opposite direction, and that she has to do everything alone. And through the course of the story that she goes through, the entire trilogy, because it's quite a big narrative, she comes to understand that the way that she has viewed the world is incorrect. She doesn't have to be completely the opposite to matter. She also doesn't have to be recognized by the world at large to matter. It's fine for her to just matter to herself. So that's the things that I've built into her, and that's the sort of things that we should be looking for our character here. Zork says, I was summoned, what did I miss? We're trying to figure out what our adventurer librarian character is afraid of, and people said we should ask you. They should be afraid of the Chaos God Zork. Yeah, I think everybody is afraid of the Chaos God Zork. So yeah, this should be a personal fear, something that is personal to them. And you can go with something that's a lot more fundamental, like a character who is deathly afraid of drowning, to the point where it impacts how they live their life. You know, they won't go near deep water, they don't swim, they've never learnt how to swim because they're so afraid of it. So what would you think, Zork? What should we have our character be afraid of that makes sense for an adventurer librarian? But we'll let Zork have a weigh in on this. Bully Snake says, sounds like a recipe for a runaway. If you're talking about Anka from my series, that would have been one of the ways to deal with her fear. What she does instead, I hope people will find interesting if I ever get that story put out into the world. I really would like to do so, but Anka Kalel, seventh in line to the Rosalian throne, is a very intelligent young lady, and lucky enough to be a weaver, as she's able to use magic, and people don't know that she can. And she decides to put her intelligence to good use to find her place in the world, rather than running away from her responsibilities. And it might say something that the name of my trilogy is called The Meaning of Power, which is the theme and the message that goes through it. I'm thinking that for our adventurer librarian, that one of the things that she might be afraid of, she might be afraid of commitment. Perhaps one of the reasons. Okay, let's see what Zork says. She's afraid of having her private thoughts exposed due to a terrible accident with Coral early in her career. That could work. We did say that she's got a nasty scar from interacting with a Temps Coral unprotected. Perhaps that plays into that, and perhaps that's also, she's a bit insecure, she's afraid that she isn't enough, so she doesn't want her private thoughts exposed from interacting with that coral, and she's trying to be more than the person she was when that imprint was taken. Doesn't want to be judged.
Then
Yep, go for it, Lictor. What do you have to say?
I think that what we're hedging on is someone who used to have it, the people who were confident and had it very, very easy, the gifted children sort of thing.
Yep.
And then she got horribly burned by it, and now she took it to the other side completely. I am not gifted. I don't deserve the trust they're putting in me, and that makes her work so far, so much harder, too
Okay.
hard, to the point where she was a gifted child. She took it. She had a talent for it. Then she got burned, and then she was like, I, of course, I can handle everything. She got trusted and blew it, and now she thinks everyone. Here's the golden child that failed. Never trust her with anything. This is what she thinks. This is not who she is, and of course, I do trust. Because who would give her a job if they don't? But to her, in her own mind, this is all just pity. It's not the actual. Am I creating Zuko? I think I'm not creating Zuko. I see it's all it proves. Uh, I will add into it pinch of spice from our setting. Some of the temp score that she touched early on got embedded, and now she has thoughts. She feels running her, she has resonance, which, of course, may or may not be true, but it doesn't matter because it
Yeah.
affects her choices. This is the important part.
Okay, so I've written it up as what is their greatest fear? Growing up as a gifted child, she took a serious confidence hit when she accidentally hurt herself on a Temps coral in her very early career. She now fears both that she is not a golden child and not at all worthy of her current position, and must work twice as hard to justify it. She is also afraid that if she fails again, the memories that are embedded in the coral she touched will be reviewed, and she is deathly afraid of that shame. She also worries that the interaction with the Temps coral and the memories she saw unprotected have affected who she is, so she is doubly careful about her work to a fastidious degree.
Correct. Amazing.
Okay, so do we need to now go back and perhaps change her posture? And perhaps we have her have a stony stature of considered apprehension rather than calm because of that internal conflict that she has. But that her tentacles are still inquisitive because that's her core self, even with all of this going on. And maybe we need to change her major chord of curiosity and eagerness to a major chord of curiosity and caution rather than
Yeah.
eagerness.
Interspaced with pauses of reserved silence. The major chord of curiosity interspersed by pauses of reserved. Um, I said caution,
Caution,
silence of
sure.
reserved. No, we already said caution. We shouldn't say
Oh,
it.
yeah. Curiosity is supposed to
Uh,
cause of reserved restraint or
restraint.
consideration. Would consideration be a better word?
Um, Is she considering, or is she held back by her own fear?
What word do you want in there, chat? What do we put in there?
Yes,
And let me
yes,
catch up with
Chad.
what people have
Help
been
us.
saying. Yeah, Temps coral is memory knowledge coral, correct. Imposter syndrome mixed with gifted kid burnout. Yeah, this character is feeling familiar. Let's put it that way. Oh, I'm pleased to hear that, introspective 90. I'm always on board for people writing stories. Um, every story in the world has already been told, but every single story is still important because only you have the life experience and filter and etc. To feed those story beats through to make something unique and interesting that informs, the rest of society. I'm all on board for people writing stories. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Okay. Major order of curiosity and caution interspersed with pauses of reserved. I'm going to stick consideration in there for the moment, and we'll change that if we come up with a really good word for it later. All right. Okay, so what is their misbelief about the world? So this is their perception of society, of the world around them that isn't quite correct. And you see this with all sorts of different people. When you've got people who are angry at the world, perhaps their misbelief is that, the world is out to get them. You can get your other types who believe that, everything in the world is lovely if you just gave people a chance. Everybody can be redeemed versus people who think that nobody can really be redeemed, people who believe in fate versus people who believe in choice. And the thing with misbeliefs about the world is that it's not always a case of everything in your belief is incorrect. It's just that you're sitting on it at a point where you don't have the maturity or the experience, which you'll get from the story, to see it in a more nuanced manner.
Don't tell them that. They'll think we're talking about structures of good storytelling.
Every story is a new network of old rhythms. Yes, very much so. And every individual who lives has a unique rhythm that they can bring things through, and experiences. And oh, I love storytelling. Love storytelling. Okay, so their misbelief in the world might be that they think that the only thing that matters in life is accomplishments. That could make a lot of sense. I don't think the misbelief of I'm surrounded by idiots would work for this character, because she feels like she has failed with what we've established as her fear. But there are absolutely characters out there who believe that. And I think she's going to be sitting in the opposite position, where she is perhaps more intelligent than the average person, but she doesn't believe that she is. So she believes that everyone else is at least as smart as her. And therefore, when people aren't keeping up with her, she thinks the problem is her. So perhaps her misbelief about the world is that the only thing in life that matters is accomplishments, and that she's not necessarily cut out to achieve those accomplishments.
I
Yes,
like that.
thinking she's not good enough. Yeah, and as somebody who literally has imposter syndrome, I am very much empathizing with this character. And yes, I've spoken to professionals. I'm not self-diagnosing. Right, misbelief about the world. All that matters is one's accomplishments, and she isn't on the same level as everyone else to
Will
get
she,
those.
is she the Cephalonid who statue of Alexander Cardi absolutely and say, I want to be seven?
I don't know.
I'm
All right,
referencing
so we can already
Caesar.
begin to see with this character how she is going to interact with the world, and how she's going to process the things she comes up against, and what her growth path is going to be, learning that she is enough, etc., etc. What happened in this character's past to make them believe this lie? We kind of already set that out in The Greatest Fear, because we thought about that in detail. So I'm just going to say, see fear section, because I think that explains exactly why she believes this lie. Okay, next thing. No character is perfect. No character is just all nice things that we can bond with, and that they can start to get grating if they are. So, what does our character most often criticize other people for, rightly or wrongly? What is something that she picks on other people about? It could be something minor, it could be something major. What is it that she is outspoken about when she sees it in others? Oh, Cookie's wearing her crab shirt today. Fantastic. And I see Leon has snuck in. Considering I know who Leon is. Hi, Alex. How are you? That would be the butler. Cowardice. She picks on other people for cowardice. I could see that happening. Yes, power word Alex. Thou hast been named. She doesn't like incompetent. She doesn't like people refusing to learn. I think refusing to learn is a really good one for her to criticize people about, because, of course, that also links back to her greatest self-criticism, is that she made the mistake that she made, and she's overcompensating and trying to learn from it. So I think that one's
I
a really
I
good one for her to
think
have.
I think she is incredibly intrusive. She hates it when people do not listen to her and her warnings.
Okay.
Like she has that reverse I told you so. I told you so. She has no smug it, and that means she's incredibly intrusive before that happens. If she can do a mistake and everybody's as smart as she is, Everybody has to be as careful as she,
Yeah.
more so, because why would anybody else want to get overly protective? Would be the short way.
Yeah.
It's like, but why would you do that?
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense for what we've built for the characters so far. So the next thing then is on the counter side of that, what is their love language? How do they show and understand love and care in the world? So for some people, your love language might be touch, so that, you know, when somebody's done something and you're really appreciative of it, maybe you lay a hand on them or you have some kind of physical contact as part of your saying thank you. For some people, it's their verbal, it's how you express things and the words that you choose and how you do things. There's all sorts of different love languages that can be used for the Desirs, who are based in a very gothic setting, etc. Our love language is violence, and I'm not apologising. So, what do we think her love language would be? What is it that she does when she wants somebody to really feel like she appreciates them, and what is it that she puts the most weight on when people show it to her to make her feel valued and appreciated?
Um, Eric has it.
Love language is info dumping. So you think she has a very verbal love language. So if people are erudite with her about something, with their thanks or their appreciation, that means more to her. And when she's wanting somebody to know how much she appreciates them, she can be quite vocal and long-winded. Zork thinks awards, little trinkets commemorating accomplishments. That would also make sense. Maybe
I
she uses a bit of
think
both.
I think it's a little bit of both. Again,
Okay.
we're talking about the eponymous librarian.
Yes. What is their
This is,
love
this is the person
language?
who thinks in it's the person who thinks in memories and keeping things and physical reflections of moments in time.
Okay, so literally, her love language is the use of language. No, not I. But also the exchange of small gifts and tokens meaningful to a situation. Okay. Right, our next bit. How do they respond to emotional pain? So, what we're looking for here is, do they get angry? Do they yell? Do they drink? Do they dissociate? Do they withdraw and become insular? How does she respond to emotional pain? I feel like she's probably going to be the kind of person who will withdraw and stew on it and perhaps only confide in people she's particularly close to. Withdraw to books and study seems likely. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling as well. I feel like with what we've set her up for having as her fears and how she approaches the world, I feel like when she's been hurt, her instinct will be to suppress, withdraw, self-analyze it, to see how to fix it, how to learn from it, even when perhaps she doesn't need to, especially if she wasn't actually the cause of the issue. So yeah, she withdraws. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense.
I have one criticism of this,
What's that?
if I may. That is a very believable character, but we need to contrast it the other element of adventure and curiosity.
That's true. So
It's
perhaps
like,
when she feels some emotional pain, her initial response is to withdraw and overanalyze, but then perhaps that galvanizes her into going out and maybe being slightly more reckless than she would normally be because she's trying to prove something,
yeah,
trying to overcome it.
I mean, she will. I think she will go to her room, stew there in her own juices for a while, and then she will explode.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense.
It- we need a character that's active. She needs to answer the call of adventure, and wanting to stew in her room is, can only serve as a catalyst. It can't be the whole story.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right. Top three things she values most in life. Is there an object that she can't bear to part with, and why? Typical outfit and method of manipulation. That's our last bits on these bits here. So let's go with the top three things she values most in life. Well, we know it's going to be knowledge. That's going to be one of her big things. Knowledge is important to her. What else do we think is going to be very important to her?
Boss, I'm looking at you. You and your dapper blue hat. Give me something. I'm looking at you.
And
Come
when
on,
she's
Goss.
angry, she's unmerciful, though not unkind. Everything she says incredibly harsh, but incredibly true and insightful. Yeah, I think she will be very good at. This goes back to her sort of criticism, how she criticizes others. She will make it very clear this is the issue, but she won't be saying that to make somebody feel smaller or whatever. But how can you learn from your mistake if you don't understand what the mistake was? She's blunt, but to the point of wanting people to improve, not wanting to tear them down.
Am I? I'm feeling that. That. Yeah. No. This is good. I feel like a person also have a little brother, 7.
So she's got a little brother, so her family's very important to her.
I don't know if it's exceedingly. I don't consider that are cephalonates. I think they are close
Fair.
to. It's not family. It's actually literally a bonded, um, familial. They they care about people who are prone to make mistakes, and it feels like an older sister, older brother sort of a dynamic. It
Okay,
doesn't
so
have
she's
to be
very
exactly.
protective of her close relationships, whether they're personal relationships or whether they're work relationships. She wants to make sure that people achieve their best.
Yeah, and it gives us a window in a literary sense. It gives a situation where this these attributes come to light because when you write a when someone calls her out on it, says you're always criticizing me. Here comes bigger sister, uh, whatever her name is, and don't worry, she plan. This is how you can
Yeah,
bring it to the table.
yeah. She just wants what's best for you. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
professional
puncturing.
development of everyone therein. What else should she really value in life? I reckon she would also really value going to places that other people don't often go. That whole new experience. I think that will be really important to her. Not just because one, she's got this curiosity and she is an adventurer librarian and that's what she does, but that option of something new, because it was the first, she had her accident because she was interested in this new thing for her in her life of interacting with the coral, and she did it wrong. But every time she now gets to go somewhere new or do something that hasn't been done before, or look through something that other people haven't touched in however long, it's that chance to have that fresh new thing and to do it right this time. This time I'm not going to make a mistake. And, it doesn't matter how many times she does something new and does in fact do it correctly. Every time she gets that opportunity, that's helping her to reinforce that she's more than the mistakes she made in her past.
Just to, I think that part of the adventurism
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit of. First of all, it's in her nature.
Yeah.
But we can put another. We can also say that this is a time where she's free. She doesn't do political when she's out on her own. Small
Mm-hmm.
team of trusted people. She is free.
Yeah.
The stress is off. She can do what she likes, which is to invest, to study, to delve, to take other people's history and put them in her own house. You know, like investigative archaeology.
Yes.
All this beautiful, this and this, all the
Okay, that works. Let's see. Has chat got anything? She sounds like she'd over prepare for most things. Yes, but I don't think that's a bad a bad habit to have for an adventurer librarian. It's probably why she at least keeps coming back. Uh, she doesn't get lost in the field. All
She
right. Is
doesn't
there
get
an
lost.
object she can't bear to part with and why? I feel like her first set of archaeological tools is very important to her and she keeps them even though they're old and used. And she might have other sets she also uses, but she always takes that first set with her.
I like that a lot. She has the set she is always using, which is worn and tired, and everybody tells her to get a new one.
Hmm.
And she has the new one. It's in the box, so for when she's going to need it. But it's her always next option. When the old tools, right? She's never happier than she's pulling out these um whatchamacallit,
Yeah.
these old Air Force Twizzlers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I
I-
think her first set of archaeological tools would just be a nice little homely thing for her.
exactly.
I think her certificate of schooling will be really important to her, but I don't think it's going to be something that she can bear to be without. I reckon that has pride of place in her office at her home library. And it's something that, perhaps she always rubs a tentacle over for good luck before she leaves and when she comes back. But I don't reckon she carries that with her. I do think that that would be something that would be super important to her, and that would be a little quirk you could build in writing about this character. Diary notebook where she records her thoughts, fascinations, dreams, and discoveries. I think that's a really good thing, and having notebooks would be something important. And I reckon she keeps all of her previous notebooks in her office at her home library. But the problem with diaries and notebooks, especially for characters like the one that we're describing, she can't just have one notebook that she has with her forever that's her special thing, because she would fill it up and then she'd need another one. And you end up with a satchel that's just full of notebooks that's weighing you down. It just wouldn't be practical to be her special thing. But I do think keeping diaries would be something that's very integral to her character, and that cataloguing them properly and having them on the shelf in her office is very important to her as well. But as in terms of a thing that she can't bear to be without, that she can't bear to leave at home, I think her first archaeological tool set will be the one that fills that gap. But absolutely, I'd love to build in those things that both Cookie and Eric have mentioned as important parts of her character traits. Her wooby.
And,
She has to take her wooby with her everywhere.
and I uh, there is there's an undercurrent I'm missing.
What's that?
She's a librarian, but she's also what? How does that tie in to everything?
Sorry, you cut
Because
out a bit for me there. She's a librarian, but also what?
a religious figure, which
So
has to
we know that our adventurer, we know that the concept of librarian, banker, and priest can all be very similar, but I don't reckon necessarily that she has to be an expert at all three. I do think she'll have some religious leanings that will be built in, but as a adventurer librarian primarily, I don't think that the priest part's going to play quite as high an importance for her as, say, librarian bankers who are permanently in one location. I do think you're
I
right, though. We need to build that aspect in, but I don't know whether now's the time to do it or whether we need to see all the notes that Eric's written up before we figure that out. Because I know he happens to
I
have those written up.
I I'm trying to get to a thing. I have a thought that she has.
Okay, so sorry, I apologize for interrupting you. Go for it.
No, no, no. The thought is that we shouldn't be building the priestly trappings. What
Hmm.
we might need to think is one, she's a researcher. She delves into it. Theology. I think that's one of the things that fascinate her about her studies is the multifaceted way So many people think she's incredibly open. She's incredibly open about everything. And I think she has a tiny bit of fear slash um, premonition that she's going to bits change, and tying back again to the fear and resonance that she's so afraid to be changed by her discovery,
Hmm.
be able to manage, because the idea of epiphany and religious epiphanies is something that to someone who dedicates their life to it is very real.
Hmm.
It's a very strong uh, piece of emotion, and I think she's not exactly we've built someone that is very competent in all the practical getting going, preparing, having the tools, having the numbers, having the books. But she doesn't strike me as someone who's picking up the temp score that has the screams elation of an entire history and how to deal with that. And she knows that that sort of stuff exists out there. Counter it, but how do you prepare for it? And that feeds into her insecurity. Like, there's
Yeah.
an entire field that she understands theoretically, but haven't had the maturity, time, experience to practically.
Yeah. And though that would definitely be things that come out when, as you say, when she's preparing for an expedition, wanting to know as much as she can about what it is she's going into, and taking the time to sit and think about it alone to herself, how she feels about it before she starts doing anything.
Yeah.
We'll have to bear that in mind when we write about her,
Yeah.
if we write about her. But look
Yeah.
look at all
Oh,
this
well,
we're figuring out about this person just by working through this sheet. I'm not going to do a typical outfit from top to bottom because we haven't figured out what standard clothing is for squid people as yet anyway, so I'm not fussed about that at the minute. It's not something we desperately need. What I do want to do though is look at what is her method of manipulation. So part of being a sapient being and part of a community and being social beings is we are inherently good at manipulating each other, and that doesn't always necessarily mean that's a bad thing. It's part of being alive. The ability to tell white lies or in fact, just the ability to lie in general is crucial to being able to maintain social bonds without it ever intending to do something unkind to anybody else or to be a bad person. White lies, etc., that they're what make the world goes round. It is what allows us to bond with people, and also, of course, our ability to fill in the blanks, etc. And thus, it's become very important for us to also be able to pick up when we are being lied to, because not everybody will be lying to you for a good reason and telling you that no, your butt doesn't look big in that, you look absolutely fine. Some lies are bigger lies that are actually important and meaningful and can hurt you. And so we've kind of gotten into this evolutionary arms race of the ability to manipulate other people for good or for ill, and the ability to pick up when we're being manipulated. So part of being a sapient creature is the ability to be manipulative. Some people are manipulative in very, very bad and underhanded ways. It's where a lot of your cluster B personality types start running into issues if these people aren't aware of themselves and developing empathy for the people around them. But, you know, everybody does it. Some people manipulate by paying compliments. Some people manipulate by withholding information. Some people manipulate by offering gifts and making people feel like they owe them. So some people manipulate by offering unwanted gifts of service for reciprocation. All of us have some degree of manipulation to a certain degree in one way or another. We just need to figure out what we believe hers would be, how she gets what she wants and gets people to work with her. Because I don't think she'd be the kind of person who manipulates people maliciously. I don't think she's that kind of personality from what we've discussed. A manipulation method, highlighting certain things and not drawing attention to other things. Not hiding the mind, just only mentioning certain things. Yeah, I could see her doing that. Her method of manipulation is a little bit of redirection, perhaps. And that can absolutely be used for good and for ill, as is often the case. And that might also feed into how she deals with spotlighting. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that also may play into other things that we've decided for her. We know that when she's hurt, she likes to withdraw, and then she likes to go out and do something about it or to do something different. That again is that redirection, that spotlighting. It's just internal instead of external. Okay, yeah, I think that works. I think that makes sense for her.
I like it. If it means something.
There we go. So at this point, with the amount that we've done, I would find it very easy to now write about this character. I understand her. I understand what makes her tick. I understand how she's going to respond to a lot of situations, and it would feel very consistent. And that's the point of doing one of these write-ups. And it's also therefore available that once you've written about a character, you can go, okay, let's make sure that she's consistent. You can then put your prose up next to this sheet and go, okay, is everything I'm reading, does that match with what I originally envisioned for her? Or are there areas where she's acting in a way that doesn't make sense for her character type? And can just help you to pick up those little things that perhaps aren't quite right, and you can tighten the character up that way. I'm not necessarily going to go through all of the rest of this sheet at the minute because we're not currently working on a specific narrative. This might be something that we decide to come back to later if we decide to write a short story for this character or fit her into a large narrative that we decide to work on. But the next section would be character goals. Which are going to be very important, especially if she's a main character. If she's the character that we're following in a story, knowing what her goals are in life, what she's dissatisfied with, and what she thinks will make her happy, that allows us to move her onto the path of the adventurer, for following through the narrative in an easy way. If she's got something that she absolutely loves in life and that's taken away from her, there's her incentive to start the hero's journey and become the protagonist of the story. If there's something that she's really dissatisfied with and she's given the opportunity to do something to rectify that, that gives her a reason to go on the hero's journey. Her thinking that a certain thing will bring her true happiness and contentment, and she sets off to pursue that, or she's acting in a way that follows that, and that's either challenged or she has to go out and do something for it. And through the course of her journey, she realizes that, that's a nice thing to have, but that's not where happiness lies. And she has that period of growth that gives you your character arc that makes it feel satisfying to the viewer. And then, of course, by setting out, what definitive step could they take to make their dream a reality? How is their fear holding them back? And how do they feel that they can accomplish their goal while not having to engage with the thing they're frightened of? That's what will make your character feel believable. So, going back to Anka, my character, she's afraid of irrelevance. Her fear has kept her from taking action because she's worried that if she does act on the things she has in front of her, it just means that she'll get removed from what she currently does have already. She won't be able to fulfill her ambitions of making her mother, who's deceased, proud of her. If she acts, it could cause her an issue. However, something happens that gives her the ability to potentially overcome that irrelevance, achieve what she's looking for without having to engage with the fact that she is afraid of being irrelevant. Something falls into her lap that she can do something with that's just, in itself, it's a great thing. And the way that I've used it, and it's nothing to do with me and my personality and my flaws. And of course, as she goes through things, she discovers that that's not the important bit. She does face her own inadequacies and deals with it. And that hopefully will make her feel like a interesting character to read about by the time the series is complete. And then the next section would be looking at pre-established relationships and conflicts, because those will play into things as well. I mean, if your character has a boyfriend or a husband or a character that they have disagreements with, talking again about my main character, Anka, her father is the emperor. Her relationship with him is very pivotal to why she is the way she is, and to how the country is running and what she decides to do with her life. The secrets in her family are vastly important for how she does certain things, how the plot moves forward. So figuring all of that out was really important for that character to write a narrative. And if we decide to make this character a main character in the future, those would be the things that we would want to flesh out there, so that her story will be meaningful as we start plotting it out. And we would need to do that for every significant relationship in her life. Sometimes you can get away with not doing that. You can just hold these things in your head, but I find having them written down really, really helps. So, for example, her boss might be a really significant character for her, especially if it was the boss who had to decide whether they kept her on or not after she made her mistake early in her career. Those are the sort of things that we'd want to explore there. Okay, it's
Yeah.
coming up for 1:30, which I think for today will be a good stopping point for us, in part because I'm really hungry. I haven't had lunch. I'm not going to lie. I'm hungry and I need to eat something. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight into how I build characters and how that affects how I will go on to write a book. I hope it's been somewhat informative and interesting. I think the last thing we need to do before we go, though, is we need to decide on a name for our character. What would you guys like to name this person? We don't have a naming convention for cephalinids at the minute, so you can choose literally anything you like. Something that sounds interesting if anybody has any ideas. And if we want to call her Fred, we can call her Fred. That's fine too. But I think looking at her with the kind of character that we have, somebody who possibly has imposter syndrome, but who is trying to go out there and do something to overcome that, and could be a very compelling main character. I think we need to have a relatively short name that's easily memorable, and perhaps has some soft sounds to it. I think a name perhaps starting with an S or a C or a letter like that. Maybe an M would work. If we want to be on the nose, lose or loose. Zivic, that's another suggestion. Very, very open to any suggestions from chat, and we can always do a poll on it and then close out our week that way. Kraken. I feel like that would need to be a male character who's possibly a bodybuilder or something. Chiro? Okay. So Eric's suggesting lose or loose to play into lucid or light. Yeah, that's Celia. I like that name as well. That's a good choice. So are Karens on Shoal just called Krakens instead? Kraken has turned up demanding the manager. Lucilia. Okay, yeah, that could work. That combines two of them. I quite like that.
I feel like there needs to be something slightly alien about the name for cephalonid.
We're not calling her CL. I can't do CL because I've read Model Land and I will never be the same. I completely get where you're coming from, Erica, but we can't do CL. We just can't. You've heard that book. I think that whatever it is has some great historical reference to them because it adds to the imposter syndrome if she's named for a historical being. Okay. So perhaps we take the name Lucilia and look for something a little bit more alien with that concept. And it becomes the name of a historical, maybe a great librarian of the past or something. Oh, you missed most of Model Land? Consider yourself very lucky then, Eric, because that was a time. That was a time. Okay, let me see. I know where I can see if I can get some suggestions. Bear with me for just a minute, chat. Just a minute. Let me click over to this one. Alright, let's see what suggestions we can have for Lucille but alien. This might take a minute.
You go to behind the name, and then you go to Google Translate, and you put your favorite word and trying to figure out how to say
Okay.
it in Swahili.
So, Luzieln, Luzieln, could be an option of doing that differently. Lyxiel, Lyxiel, the X always adds an alien texture to it. We could make it double barreled and have Luciel, Lu-Cealle. Luzel, Lu-Xell. This makes it a little bit sharper and more forceful. That would give us some options. Still playing with the same kind of name.
I like the lazy L. It's like it rolls.
Sarahs, we just came in. That's not happening. So the hyphenated one?
No, not the hyphenated
Not
one.
the hyphenated one?
The
Oh,
one with the accent.
Luzieln, Luzieln, that one?
I picked in Lyciel, Lyxielle.
So like that.
Yeah, I wrote it.
And then that was the other one that I was
Yeah,
thinking of. CL just keeps making me think of Black Butler. CL from Black Butler is an infinitely better CL than the one from Model Land.
I like Eric. Why? I'm trying to.
I know we're past crime and punishment, but I had the most fucked up idea. Air hanging. The convicted is tied to a helium balloon which hoists them out of the water where they air drown. Yeah, that's horrible. Good job, guy on Broadway.
Now go sit next to Zord.
All right. Let me do a final poll then, and we'll decide what this character is going to be called. So our options are going to be.
And while they're voting, go look at Discord.
Okay, I can do that. Give me just a minute to write this up. I'm sure there was another one. Oh no, I already had that one. There we go. That gives us three options.
Because I'm trying to figure out where to put the because I am trying to figure out where to put the bow tie in.
I will come over and have a look. Let me take a little look. See. Oh my goodness, that bottom one is fantastic. Do you want me to show chat?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, sorry. You were given a friend, given a person, which you will, which will appreciate you and what you give to them.
This is going to be Laticol 07. I love, I love it.
It's a suit, okay? It's a suit. It's skin tight, so you can wrap.
Louisiel, out, bully snake. Out! Leave! Desist! How dare you? Okay, Louisiane is what has been decided on.
I
Okay.
like it. Love it.
All right, so this is going to be Louisiane, and I saw everybody wanted Page as the surname. Louisiane Page, named after the great historical librarian scholar Louisiane of, and we'll decide a place later. Okay. Cool. So we've written ourselves a character today that it would now be very, very easy to write about. I do hope you guys enjoyed doing this. This can be, for some people, they find writing characters this way incredibly boring and dry and not fun at all. But I hope I haven't bored you guys today.
Not at all. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can tell. They're singing on the chord.
I
I,
love this sketch you have done while we have been wittering on today. The Laticole
I,
007.
I have to ask the chat though. One last question. Tiny little question. Where's the bow tie going?
Or where does the bow tie go? I reckon it goes in the little crease of where his neck joins, his jaw joins his neck. Even though that would be quite a recessed bow tie, I reckon that's where it goes. Either that, or he has a clip on his suit jacket. It's just clipped on. I'll give chat just a minute to see if anybody has a other suggestion for where the bow tie should go, and then we'll flick into our outro and disappear off for a week. And does Louisiel evolve into Floatzel? Samurai, you're also getting banned. You a bully snake. Ow.
That is bad.
It is. It's terrible. Terrible.
We have the best chat.
We do. We do. And everything's chat's fault. None of this would be happening without you guys. All
Yeah,
of the war crimes, all of the drugs, the prawn industry, it's all your fault, chat. None of it is at all my responsibility. I didn't do it.
no,
You did it. How could you?
exactly. How could you? You made us do that. You held us at gunpoint and spent time with us week after week until it all happened. How dare you?
Still maintain best community on Twitch.
Absolutely.
Especially with the amount of variety and nonsense you guys put up
All
with.
right, Zorky.
Homework
Zorky.
hasn't changed. We're still looking for anything to do with the slums. I did see some stuff had come in, but if you want to write anything about what the slums in our cities look like, how they operate, what sort of things you can find there, why they're in existence, that would be very much still appreciated. Appreciated. I can speak English, I swear. And I will try to get a little bit of the work that I said I would do done in time for next week. It will all just be very dependent on, whether I'm allowed furniture in in the foreseeable future. Because once again, I'm talking to you guys from my living room carpet.
You have a carpet.
Yes, we have carpet. We
We,
have
we have
carpet that
we
has
have we have
withstood a lot, bless it.
we have confirmed carpet. What?
The
I,
conductor of this
I
demented marching band, no, I think that honour goes to Diggs. If it's not going to be
yeah,
Chat's
no,
fault, it's going to be Diggs' fault.
yeah.
Can't be my fault.
Nope. Deflection. That's our manipulation.
Still somehow not broadcasting from underdogs. Yes, somehow I have managed to avoid the dog problem this week. And I'm in even easier access for them to have restarted stream like they did while we were at the cottage every week. And they haven't this week. I'm shocked and amazed.
There you go. Now with the bow tie.
Oh, you sent me another version?
Yes.
I will save that to show chat next week. That will be our reason for
Very.
these poor, unfortunate souls to come back and see us again next week.
Yes. Everybody, be good. Do your homework.
Yes, be good to each
We have war
other. Have a
crimes.
wonderful weekend. I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible on Sunday night for WBPLW. I will be back in the admin booth, and our wonderful night owl, who's been covering for me while I was away, will not have to anymore. And I do hear tell that I may just be in the ring this week and a new moveset. So I hope to see you guys there. Have a wonderful weekend. Do wonderful things. Be good to each other. And we will catch you next time.
Bye.